Clove listens to something Nagg says. He reports that Nagg doesn't want to listen to Ham's story, and wants a cigar plum if he has to listen to it. Ham agrees, and Clove leaves. Ham asks Nagg why he produced him, and Nagg says he didn't know that it would be Ham. Ham promises to give him the cigar plum after his story. He commences telling it after ruminating on his ill health. In a narrative tone, he relates how a pale, thin man came crawling to the narrator, called Ham hereafter. He stops the story, comments on how he's done that bit, and continues, "It was Christmas Eve, and he asked the man why he came his way. The man said for Ham not to look at him. Ham persisted, and the man revealed he had left behind a small boy in his distant home, alone. He wanted food for the boy, but Ham argued that food did little good. There's no cure for being on earth. Eventually, Ham says, he took the man into his service, and, in the end, was asked if he would take the child, if he were still alive. Ham says he's near the end of the story, unless he brings in other characters, but he wouldn't know where to find them. Ham whistles, and Clove comes in. Nagg cries for his cigar plum. Clove reports that there's a rat in the kitchen, and that he's exterminated half of it. Ham says he'll finish it later, but now they'll pray to God. Nagg begins reciting the prayer, but Ham cuts him off and insists they do it in silence. They pray silently, and then Ham asks, well? They are all disappointed by the lack of a godly response, and Ham believes God doesn't exist. After Nagg asks for his cigar plum and Ham tells him there are none, Nagg discusses his role as Ham's father. He remembers Ham would call him when he was scared as a child, and not his mother. He didn't listen to him, he says, but he hopes the day will come again when Ham will depend on his father's listening to him, and on his father's talking to him. He knocks on Nell's lid and yells to her, but, with no response, retreats into his bin and closes the lid. Ham gropes for his dog and, not finding it, believes it has gone away, a theory Clove finds impossible, as it's a fake dog. After more groping, Clove hands the dog to Ham, who soon after throws it away. Clove cleans up the room, as he loves order, but Ham makes him stop. Before Clove can leave, Ham tells him to stay and listen to his story, as he's got on with it. He resumes telling it, often stopping for asides with Clove. He gave the man a job as gardener, and the man asked if he could take his boy with him. Ham says that's where he got up to, but now he's too tired to finish it, or make up another story. He tells Clove to see if Nell is dead. He looks into the bin and says it looks that way. Nagg hasn't died, but he's crying. Ham asks Clove to push his chair under the window, as he wants to feel the light on his face. Clove does so, and Ham asks if it's light. Clove says it is. Since it's the earth window, Ham says there's no light and orders Clove to push him to the other one. He says he feels sunshine, but Clove says it isn't. Ham orders Clove to open the window, as he wants to hear the sea, but Clove says it won't matter. After Ham insists, Clove pretends to open it. After Ham remarks on the calmness of the sea, he asks Clove to close the window. He pretends to do so again. Clove pushes Ham back to the center. Ham twice calls for his father, and tells Clove to see if Nagg heard him. Clove investigates and says Nagg did, once only. He says Nagg isn't crying anymore, but sucking his biscuit. Ham asks Clove to kiss him on the forehead, or hold his hand, but Clove refuses. Ham asks for his dog, and then rejects the idea, and Clove leaves, vowing that either he'll kill the rat or it'll die. Creation is further lambasted in this section. Ham didn't want to be born, and Nagg didn't want to have him. Still, Nagg recognizes that despite the disappointment and randomness of creation, he points out that if he weren't Ham's father, someone else would be. There exists a deep bond between parent and child. It may seem anomalous for Beckett to wax sentimental about familial affections, but in this case the stress is less on Ham the child's love for his father and more on his fear of solitude and dependency. The theme is paralleled in the story Ham tells. While the detached narrator is a stand-in for Ham, and Clove may be the young child, Nagg's recollection of Ham as a scared, lonely child means that Ham may be projecting himself as the abandoned child in the story, left behind by his father. Tellingly, Ham never relates the story from the child's point of view, since this one is all too painful for him. Ham again hams it up in the story, performing in 4 distinct voices: his own, the narrative, himself as the narrator, and the beggar. There are also 4 numbers related to the weather in the story, and their order 0-50-100-0 revolves in circular form back to the beginning. The story's combination of endings, the father's imminent death, and beginnings, Ham's taking in the child, along with its Christmas Eve setting, associates it with the modern era's most important ending and beginning, Christ's birth. Another fusion of ending and beginning is Clove's desire for an ordered universe, to be a world where all would be silent and still and each thing's in its last place. He dislikes entropy, the tendency of things to become disordered, but, in fact, a perfectly disordered universe would have equal distribution of energy and motion would cease exactly as it would in Clove's vision of a perfectly ordered universe.